Hello and welcome back to the SRL TCR League for the 10th season of competition. We head around Road America for what is going to be the second to last time of this 10th season of competition. It is going to be an interesting race, no doubt, not only because it is our final drop week available for our drivers. No. More importantly, on Tuesday this week, we had the new iRacing build, and came with it, we had an update to these wonderful TCR machines, including the release of the brand new Audi as well, which means that we have had a few driver car changes for this evening and heading into the final two rounds. Drivers get one free car change over the course of the season. They have decided to take it have decided to take it today. In fact, I'm looking and we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of our 28 drivers are out there in the brand new Audi machine. So we are going to see how they get on. Of course, there are some changes that come with the update, and mostly the cars are still level pegging in their driving, of course, but they are considerably faster than before, lapping at about 2 seconds a lap faster than they were last week, and it means that drivers will need to get a handle on those quicker accelerations, and especially into the braking point, should just be having a little bit more speed, of course. If you are on power, though, you get a bit more understeer now in these cars as well, especially on the exit to the corners. So drivers will have to handle that new change and figure out how to get this car turned, especially on the exit. But you do have to slow down a little bit earlier, partially because of those higher speeds, partially because of the way these cars now handle. It means that drivers not only have to get to grips of these new machines, they have to think about how do we get on to the power, how do we get slowed down for the corners. It's going to be interesting to see how our drivers take on the Road America circuit here today. And what a calendar we have had this season. It's hosted a variety of different countries. We headed out at Jerez back on the 9th of January. I can't believe it was almost 3 months ago that we got down onto the racing surface for the 10th season of competition and the first round of the season. We then head across to Japan as we went to Motegi for round number 2, before we then went across to America for a string of races. Long Beach on January 23rd, before we headed off to Summit Point on the end of January. And VIR at the start of February, of course, we had our cancelled Hungaroring round, which was originally supposed to be round number 5. That is now going to be the 10th and final round of competition that we head off to next week. Round number 6, we headed across to the Italian countryside and Mugello, and then 2 weeks ago, we were out at Brands Hatch in the British Kent countryside. Catalonia was host to our round last week. We are back in America today, and we head to Hungary for round number 10 next week for our postponed Hungaroring round, but we are going to get it for our final round of competition. With this being the 9th round of the season, then it does mean it is the last opportunity for drivers to drop any points. Round 10 will be no drop points, so drivers will be looking to try and do the best that they possibly can there. Of course, they're going to be trying to do the best again here and find themselves flying up the championship order in the variety of championships if they can get it there. In fact, we will talk us through the championship standings as we welcome you over here. I'm in the corner to the commentary booth for the first time today, because we are going to have a little bit of a look at our championship standings over the 4 classes and your teams. So let's start with the pro standings then, because Adam Delmont has done the work this season. He has won this championship in the past, of course. He is looking to try and take another championship along with it today. Well, along with it this within the next week, of course. He could confirm the championship today, of course, though, with 827 points to his name. Kim Borkland sits with 710. It's 117 points separating Adam Delmont and Kim Borkland right now. Jaden Scotton, he took an amazing double race victory last time out in Catalonia, which means that he has flown up the championship order, up into 3rd position, and is looking strong ahead of Luciano Espinera in 4th. Will Lyon and Arthur Thurtle were quite close together in 5th and 6th. Thurtle is not in the session right now, but Will Lyon is. So he's looking to try and get those points over Thurtle, pull himself away, and over Luciano Espinero as well, who again is not in the session right at this second. Dan Mould had to step back from the championship due to an injury. He's fallen down to 7th, where he remains with 399 points out of Logan McKinsey. Jack Bolton stepping out after VIR. He's down to 9th right now. Anthony Lamour's put in a couple of rounds this season. Sits in 10th position in that championship, and it is sitting, well, quite dominant for Adam Delmont at the top of the pro standings right now. He is not the only man, though, that is feeling fairly confident in their championships. We look at the semi-pro field, and it is Daniel Downing leading the championship in your semi-pro field right now. He has 632 points. He is 98 points clear of the man who's now in second, Kev Aylett. Aylett overtakes Det Crowther after the Catalonia round last week, and Crowther moves himself down into 3rd position, 11 points back. Carl Hardy moves up into 4th, along with a row of other drivers all jumping up the order there. You've got John Brown sitting in 5th right now. He's only a few points clear of Daniel Lewis. Lewis only a single point clear of Ronald de Jong at the moment. Mark Draper has fallen down to 8th position, and Stephen Fry down to 9th. Only 2 points separate them, and they aren't far off of the fight for 5th position. Tom Woodcock sits in 10th position right now. Andrew Lovesey in 11th. Marhan Kodeman in 12th, and Jay Cooley in 13th position. Cooley is back down on track. He hasn't raced much this season, but he is looking to put some points to his name tonight. Can he overtake Kodeman in the championship? He will certainly be trying to do something with his attempt at going out there today. We then have a look down at the Pro-Am standings, and our Pro-Am standings is being led rather dominantly by Demis Titchler. Not as much as your top 2 classes, however, as there is, if I do mental maths on the top of my head, there's about 76 points, I believe there is, between Demis Titchler and Jack Brown. Brown has had some strong races, but Titchler has been putting that consistency in throughout the season. He is right at the top right now, and you see that he is just doing absolutely dominant right now. 4 drivers have taken 3 wins in the championship in that in that Pro-Am class right now. It is the most tied wins in any of the classes. Titchler, Woodhouse, Walters, and Gibbons have all taken 3 wins apiece, but you can see them in multiple places in the championship order on the left-hand side. Walters and Geraghty move up into 3rd and 4th position, and they are very close to back of Jack Brown right now. Only about 4 minutes between them, as we realise that there is... I was doing a session myself earlier. I'll get the crew chief turned off there. And we have got... Stuart Gibbons there moving up behind Alan McCain right now as McCain drops down. I think that's going to be your fight for second. Brown through McCain. I think Gibbons is just a little bit too far out of that one. But Paul Hurley is all over the rear of him, as is Woodhouse. Marshall Say not too far behind either. JB DeJay, he's fallen down to 10th position, but could find his way back up to 6th within the next 2 weeks of asking. There is no doubt about that. We then have Gonzalo Oliveira down to 11th position ahead of Lucas Henschel. And then, of course, James Golden not putting in any points. No races so far this season, so no points on the board. So with that being said, the top 3 of your classes are not looking too close for your championship. There are some battles further down the order. Your championship, not so much. Now, we're going to flip that on its head, and we are going to look at the amateur standings here, because Vegard Olsenlia leads this standings. He's got 442 points to his name. Thomas Kuhn has 432 points. There is only 10 points difference. They are both tied with the most victories in class. 4 wins apiece. Kuhn has taken 7 fastest laps in class, however. Kuhn, Mail, London, Olsenlia, they've all got 2 poles in class at the moment. So right now, it's a mixture of pole sitters, but it is Kuhn and Olsenlia that are finding their way to the top of the crop by the end of the races. They are finding the points. And right now, with only 10 points separating them, it is going to be a very tight end to the amateur standing championships. That is certainly for sure. But as you can see, no changes after Brands Hatch for our drivers here, as none of them have gone out and changed position around Catalonia. Ben Gibbons maintains 3rd position, 50 points off of Kuhn. Then you have Thomas Mayo, another 42 points back. He's in 4th position right now. A big jump back to Jeff Saunders, holding on to 5th. He's only 9 points clear of Chris London, though. And then another big jump back to Scott Malcolm. Aaron Matthews, only 2 points separating them. Andy Littler sits in 9th. Chesney Vandenbroek in 10th position there. Vandenbroek has taken 2 wins in class to his name. He just hasn't been here for most of the season, which is why his points are not reflecting the pace that he has shown. Yannick Van Rienen's in 11th. James Brown in 13th position. And Hardcastle has not gone out there this season. So it has been extremely close in that amateur field, and I think that one is going to come down to the wire next week. But as it stands, let's have a look then at our final championship standings. It is your team standings going into the penultimate race of the season, and it is Next Gen Racing Green holding steady at the very top of the order. 1,305 points there to the team ran by Jack Brown and Adam Delmont. They are running almost 200 points clear of Sim Racing Forces Norway. The mishmash of team here of Andre Borkland and Ronald de Jong. SRL Purple is sitting in 3rd position right now with 1,040 points. Daniel Downing and Mark Draper behind the wheel of that one, of course. SRL Blue holding on to 4th. Jazz Esports moved up to 5th position. Blade Designs in 6th. And as SRL Green hold on to 7th, SRL Rosso are now the lowest of the SRL teams after being the highest. That is, of course, because Dan Mould has had to step back due to injury, which means Stephen Fry is waving the banner of SRL Rosso on his own. Bite 500, they were leading the championship towards the beginning of this season. They have fallen down to 9th position, and it is the Sim Racing Norway Amateur Endurance Team rounding out your top 10. That's man powered by the 2 amateur contenders, and they were fighting earlier in the championship. It could go the way of Vegard Olsenlia. Torban Mail alongside him in that machine. Of course, you can see the rest of your field there on the left-hand side of your screen. So you can see the points all the way down to the bottom. And it is going to be interesting to see what our drivers are going to be able to do around Road America here, because they have got the competition heating up. 2 races left to go, and they are all having to get used to these new updated machines. They've had a couple of days to get some practice in. We've had a practice session of just over an hour for drivers to head around the Road America circuit as well and see what they are able to do. And we are about to see what they can do in the qualifying session as we tick across to the qualifying here around Road America, and drivers are now going to be getting out there to try and put in the fastest lap of the session, find themselves towards the front, ready for the first race of the day. And of course, if you are new around here, we have got a 15-minute open qualifying session. All drivers will be heading out onto the track together. That will set the grid for the first race of the day, which will be 20 minutes. And then race number 2 will be that slightly longer 25-minute race. We'll grid up by the results of race number 1. But the top 15 will be inverted. Right then, let's get down onto the track and waste no more time having a little bit of a natter here as we see them heading out. And as you can see, the brand new Audi is out there and shiny. It must be the SRL liveries are making them extremely shiny out there. But some of our drivers have switched across to the new Audi for this one. Of all of our drivers, there is still one of the legacy Audis still out there. JB Jerez is running around in the final Audi machine. It's the only one of your legacy Audi machines out there. Everyone else has jumped across into the newer Audi. There have also been drivers across the board that have decided to jump ship. They get one free swap in their car choice over the course of the season. Most of them have held off because they knew we were going to be getting a new TCR towards the end of this season, and they have decided to make their free swap here and jump into your brand new Audi. You've got Daniel Lewis out there in the new Audi, along with John Brown and Kim Borkland, Chris London, Daniel Downing, Gibbons, Jack Brown, Paul Hurley were out there in the new machine, Olsen Leah, Crowther, Walters, Will Lyon, Jay Cooley, and Lucas Henschel are all out there as well in the brand new Audi machine, and they are going to be giving it a go and seeing how they can get on in this one as we prepare for our qualifying session. 15 minutes were on the board when drivers headed out of pit lane, and now we get prepared to come around the final corners and see what we can do. And there's a big grouping of cars, but it is Jack Brown who leads all of the machines out there, and he is going to see what he is able to do in his brand new Audi machine, as he is the first man to come across the timing line here in qualifying in the 13 machine. He gets in towards turn number 1 and over through the kink of turn 2, gets then onto the braking zone and turned in for turn number 3 as you get across to the curving on the inside. Push it out a little bit wide there, and now along the back straight here up towards the kink of turn number 4 as we go underneath the bridge and down towards Moraine Sweep. This is catching a lot of drivers out, as it does do no matter what series you take down here. You get onto the brakes, onto the outside of 5 there, turn it in and push it hard. You've got that a wider curb on the exit of 5 to help you out. Up the hill now and onto the brakes for turn number 6. We get turned in, and Jack Brown is going to have a big old slide there through turn number 6. This isn't going to be the lap time that he would be hoping for as he comes through 7 on the right-hander and into hurry down. So we through across to the right-hand side, slam onto the brakes and turn it in to turn number 8, and now we have got the carousel, the long right-hander. Turn number 9, you want to try and keep it tight here, not push it too wide as we hear Brown gearing down there into turn 10, and he puts it full throttle on the exit there and up towards the bend on into the kink of turn number 11. Lifting off the throttle just a smidge there from Jack Brown. Remember, Brown is trying to catch up with Titchler in the Pro-Am Championship. Up through turn number 12 now as they head out of Kettle Bottoms and into Canada Corner. Push it wide there, you really can, and you keep it inside track limits as well. Up towards Thunder Valley, into turn 13 of Bill Mitchell Bend, and into the final turn. You swing it to the left-hand side of the circuit, turn it across to the right. You can see the small corrections from Brown there. Push out wide, but keep it in track limits, and we head now along the Road America straight and up towards the timing line. Jack Brown was the first man to start the lap. He will be the first man to finish it and the first man on the timing board with that. And we'll be seeing what the drivers behind will be doing. Of course, Brown having no tow to help him out. He already loses a significant amount of time on that lap as more drivers come up towards the timing line here to see what they can do. And we see a flurry of Audis flaunting, some of them flaunting their new liveries, some of them not getting liveries on time for today's race. But we head up towards turn number 1 here as we watch Vigard Olsen Leah, the amateur class championship leader. He will be wanting to try and beat out Thomas Coombe of course, in this one. But Leah's first lap time invalidated. He ran off the circuit, and he will have to go again to try and improve on this one. His competitor, Thomas Kuhn, is coming up to finish his flying lap around here. We'll be seeing what he can do as he continues to run in his Honda and feeling confident in that one as he slams on the brakes and gets into Canada corner of turn number 12, pushes out wide. But I have not seen it flash up that Thomas Kuhn has gone off the track in this lap. So we'll see what he's able to do up towards the end. Will Lyon and Jaden Scott on there. Just 200ths of a second separating them in second and third position. Adam Delmont, the Pro Championship leader, he is a little bit further off the pace right now. And sitting behind the semi-pro leader of Ronald de Jong, up towards the timing line comes Thomas Kuhn to see if he can go faster than Ben Gibbons, who's 12th fastest overall right now. As Kuhn comes across the line, it's a 2:16 flat, and it is faster to go than Ben Gibbons. Just about. Thomas Kuhn finds himself into 12th, knocking Ben Gibbons down into 13th position right now. As Gibbons will be hunting another win this season. He's taken one as Vandenbroek finds his way off the circuit. If you think back to Brands Hatch, that was where Chesley Vandenbroek was able to take the double in the amateur class and won both of those races. A string of semi-pro drivers have not been able to get in the lap times at the moment. Invalidated laps across the board for Hardy, Draper, Downing and Daniel Lewis. They'll be hoping to find their way up as Jack Brown in the Pro-Am class almost finds his way to the very front, but it's looking like these second laps are running significantly quicker than the first. Is there potential here for the tyres that they just needed an additional lap or even two to find their working window and then get it underway? Of course, we do know that the tyres were one of the things that were updated. They've changed them a little bit, and if we think when they changed the GT4 tyres, it was a lot harder to get them up to temperature. I'm expecting the same here in the TCRs. Fortunately, being the front-wheel drive cars that these TCRs are, it means you're not going to see a lot of spins and oversteer from these cars on cold tyres. And if you do, you can just put the power down to grab yourself out of that oversteer and get yourself straightened up again. We saw it with Jack Brown through turn number 6, where he lost that rear end ever so slightly. He put the power down, he straightened himself up. He did invalidate his lap when he ran off the track there, but he managed to keep the car facing the right way, which in a race session is going to be incredibly important. Ben Gibbons is looking to still try and improve on his lap time. He's sitting right now what is third in class, because Chris London has gone astonishingly fast in the amateur class here and is up to 7th position in class. The toe is definitely going to be helping that one out. Onto the brakes here for Ben Gibbons and across into Canada corner. Out we go, and he is coming up towards turn 13 of Bill Mitchell Bend into 14. Can Gibbons find any time? Last lap was 4/10 slower than his fastest. What can this one be? Best lap so far is a 2:16.074. Can he find any time as Kim Borkland finds time and regains the provisional pole? Ben Gibbons goes across the timing line. It's a 16.1 that was then flagged as invalid. So Gibbons' lap time is actually not just invalid. It was not classified, which means that potentially at some point he has picked up a slowdown on that lap. Stuart Gibbons here up towards timing line. I'm seeing a couple of cars coming down pit lane for this one, which is a surprise. I think they might be trying to throw on some new tyres as they get onto a lower fuel load. But with 5 minutes on the board and a lap time of about 2:14, you're only going to see a couple more attempts of this. So if you are jumping down pit lane now, you're only going to get about one more attempt. Demis Titchler yet to get a time on the board. He will be looking to try and do something in the Pro-Ams, because his competitor, Jack Brown, is currently 3rd fastest in this race, and Titchler currently without a time on the board will find himself at the very back of the qualifying order. Why that is important, of course, is even though Titchler holds a very strong advantage of about 60 points over Jack Brown, Brown's result right now would be phenomenal, because our drivers, as I say throughout the season, take their points from their overall race position, not their class position, which I think is a very interesting way of running this championship. More to the point, I think it is a very difficult way for some of our amateur drivers, our Pro-Am drivers, to really gain the advantage. But on days like this, where you've got the speed, like Jack Brown, well, hello, I've got the advantage now. I can really do something with this result, and he's going to be hoping that he is able to carry it through, because Demis Titchler is still looking to try and put a lap time onto the board. I'm looking around at the recent off-tracks. Titchler's lap time, as it stands, is still looking valid. If his previous lap time stood and was not invalidated, he would find himself just behind Ben Gibbons and ahead of Stuart Gibbons, which would be 4th in the Pro-Am class. Titchler then comes up towards the timing line here, comes across the timing line with 3 minutes left on the board. Will he get a valid lap time in? It's a 16.3. It places him behind Stuart Gibbons, 20th overall. Make that 21st, because Kyle Hardy goes into 20th position as Jack Brown continues to find pace out there, and Brown goes a thousandth of a second faster than Daniel Downing. Your top 4 cars in this qualifying session are all the brand new Audi machines. However, we do have a mix inside the top 10, including our Hyundais. We've got the Veloster of Scotton, the Veloster of Draper, the Honda from Adam Delmont, and the Elantra from Ronald de Jong. Now, the Elantra is the surprising one of all of the cars, I think, since the update. It's the one that I've heard most about outside of the Audi. Of course, the Audi is the most talked about car. Right now, it is probably the quickest car, but I'm sure that the BOP will equalise them out very quickly. But Ronald de Jong has got into that Elantra. He's been in it all season long, and that Elantra, I've heard some very good things. It is very fun to drive. Now, of course, it's always been the quickest car in the wet. However, no rain in this series, which means it is just about how it drives. It's not been a popular choice across the league. Is it going to be more popular into season number 11? And talking of season number 11, we are very glad to confirm that we will be returning here at Joseph White Broadcasting to the commentary booth with SRL TV for the 11th season of competition. It is going to be an absolutely brilliant season, as this one has as well, and I cannot wait for it as drivers come to the end of their qualifying laps here. Can Kyle Hardy go faster? He's the slowest of the semi-pros right now, as 28 of 29 cars have put lap times in. No lap time on the board for Luke Woodhouse, but he will get out there in the first race, no doubt about it. As Kyle Hardy crosses the line, he remains in 20th position. We've got John Brown, the last man out there that will get a lap time on the board. Will it be an improvement as Jay Cooley moves up to 7th position? Where is John Brown going to find himself? Can he find himself anywhere further up the order here as the SRL green machine crosses the line? He does. He goes into 9th overall. It'll be 4th in class as he gets past Crowther and de Jong there. Qualifying then over and done with, and a great result for a number of drivers. And looking at it, Kim Borkland has taken his 3rd pole position of the season. The last time he did it was at Brands Hatch before VIR. He's going for every other week at this moment. He was able to convert his pole at Brands Hatch into a race 1 victory. He wasn't able to do it at VIL. What is going to happen here today as he does take his 3rd pole position? He is the highest on the list for our pole sitters this season. As we have race number 1, Kim Borkland is going to start this one on pole position ahead of Jack Brown. Daniel Downing will start in 3rd with Will Lyon in 4th position. 5th will be for Jaden Scotton, and Mark Draper will start this one from 6th. Jay Cooley will start on 7th. He doesn't compete too much in this season, but he is doing some great laps out there today. Adam Delmont sits in 8th position, not great for the overall and pro championship leader, ahead of John Brown. It's then Chris London in 10th, out of Ronald de Jong and Dec Crowther. We then had Craig Walters out of Paul Hurley, Kev Aylett 15th, and Daniel Lewis 16th. Stuart Gibbons will start this one on 17th, ahead of Thomas Coombe. Then we have Ben Gibbons and Hardy 19th and 20th. Titchler will start on 21st, ahead of Deshay. Then it'll be Henschel and Marshall say, followed by Garrity and Olsen Leah. Vandenbroek in 27th, ahead of Mail. And then without a lap time on the board, Luke Woodhouse will start from the back of the field. Right then, we are having a look here, and most drivers have made their way onto the track and are ready for this one. We are waiting on, looks like a couple of extra cars to head out there. Torban Mail gets onto the track at the rear, and it looks like Luke Woodhouse is failing to make his way to the grid at the moment. Hopefully we will see Woodhouse out there, but he is not right now. He's the only driver not to have made it to the grid as we wait for our race start procedure to begin. Kim Borkland there will be starting this one on pole position in that brand new Audi. The front 2 rows dominated by the Audis. Then we have a mixture of cars all the way back. The only legacy Audi by Deshay down in 22nd. We see 28 cars onto the grid as 20 minutes head onto the board. We are away here. It's a bit of a mixed start for our drivers. They get used to the way these cars get off of the line, and we head up towards turn number 1. It was slow in the midfield for a number of our drivers, but up towards the front, we look like we might be going 3 wide into turn number 1. They send it down 2 wide as Jack Brown holds the inside, trying to hold on to 2nd position here as we head up towards turn number 3. It's side by side behind as Daniel Downing gets to the inside and Jaden Scotton, the semi-pros and pro-ams, mixing it up with all of our drivers out there as we head up towards turn number 5 after the Moraine sweep. And our leading drivers have settled themselves down at the very front, but Will Lyon wants 2nd position. Dives up the inside of Brown. Brown then has contact. And then through goes Daniel Downing. Brown having some connectivity issues there. Not what Jack Brown would have wanted. I think he might have just lost a whole host of positions that he has. He's down to 8th position after that initial bit of contact. And then a few connectivity issues as we head up towards the braking zone. Up into turn number 8, and that's to the inside of Brown goes Ronald de Jong. And Jack Brown, who started this one all the way at the front of the field, has fallen down to 9th before the end of the first lap here. He's not had a lap to remember. He only has Chris London, the pole sitter from the amateur driver, between himself and 2nd in class now of Craig Walters, and that was slow there from Brown. London tried to get the up and under. It got close there as that is Titchler running onto the grass in the background. It's side by side now between Paul Hurley and Chris London. London's going to have the inside to Hurley though, and that was Mark Draper trying to get to the inside of Daniel Lewis. That was Daniel Lewis trying to get to the inside of Mark Draper. He's come from a little while back to do so, but he has made that move now for 13th position, and Demis Titchler sitting right behind this thinking, where can I go through? And he's going to try to do it on the exit of turn number 14 and up towards the timing line here as they already don't want the toe apparently, as that's Dec Crowther moving to the right hand side of Titchler there, and will stay to the right hand side, not trying to get the toe. As we head up towards turn number 1, Crowther will duck behind, and JP Deshay, and the only legacy Audi, looks to the inside of Kevin Marshall, then runs deep on the exit of 1 and could be under attack here from Thomas Coombe, who makes his way through up into 20th position overall. Chris London has had an issue. We heard something going on, and that is your amateur leader. What has happened here to Chris London? Was it contact? It was contact there with Paul Hurley that's made him slow. And we cut back to our live pictures. It is a gaggle of drivers here, but Ben Gibbons of Area Motorsport has found his way to the front of your amateur field. He's taken 1 win so far in class this season. He is now on the hunt for a second. He has Carl Hardy between himself and London. Championship contenders, Thomas Coombe, he sits in 21st overall right now. Olsen Leah down in 25th position. It's a mix for our drivers and what they are able to do in these early stages of the race. Of course, with a lap time over 2 minutes, it means that this race is going to fly by, because every time we say we're starting a new lap, well, we get ever so close to the end of this race straight away. We are already 5 minutes into this one, only 15 minutes left on the board. Jaden Scotton was pushing Adam Delmont there. They're trying to catch up to Daniel Downing, who is a semi-pro leader. He's championship leader in that class as well. And Jay Cooley in the 89 machine chasing just behind there, behind his one of his teammates. Actually, no, that is his teammate, isn't it, of Jaden Scott, and they're both in the Emerald machine. So they are going to be pushing each other along as well, and Cooley's going to try and help Scotton towards the front of this one, no doubt. I know that when Cooley is not behind the wheel himself, he's normally watching these races and supporting all of his teams. He's got 3 teams out there, of course, and with the tow that he was getting, Cooley getting the purple lap on that one as well. As we jump towards the rear of the field here, Lucas Henschel is trying to get up the inside of Fraser Garrity up towards turn number 1. He gets the inside of turn 1, but he pushes himself down wide and onto the grass, and Garrity is able to swap back over. They are fighting within their class, but they are fighting for 22nd and 23rd position. Dennis Titchler here in your pro-am field, trying to find his way through and pass Mark Draper. Draper's to his left. He's going to hold the right-hand side here as we get up towards turn number 5. It is side-by-side heavy onto the brakes there, with Draper holding the inside. Titchler goes to the outside. There's a little bit of contact there, and that is Deck Crowther just looking behind, thinking, where can I go? It's to the inside, and Dennis Titchler goes sideways. He's going to fall behind Gibbons, and he takes out the amateur leader. Ben Gibbons comes back on and hits JB Deshay, but Ben Gibbons, who was leading the amateur field, gets taken out, and in his fight to try and hold positions, he comes back on and drives straight into JB Deshay. But that is disappointment for Ben Gibbons. Let's have another look at that one. Ditchler's to his right, and there's the contact. Off the circuit he goes. It is a real shame there. It's side by side, and around goes your amateur leader. He gets straight back onto the track, but look at that, into JB Deshay, who's going to be hoping that he does not have damage himself with this one. Chris London gets overtaken by Carl Hardy, but the man who was originally leading the amateur field moves back into the lead of the amateur class. Thomas Coombe now second in class, exactly what he needs, only 10 points behind Olsen Leah, of course, as this is Chris London trying to let some drivers through or fight with them. I'm not too sure. He's head up to turn number 1. He's going to fight here into turn 1. It's Chris London holding that inside. Carl Hardy tried to do it on the outside line, couldn't quite make that work. Kevin Marshall say now is trying to hold the inside over JB Deshay as they come through turn number 3. This is your fight down outside your top 15, and that is important, of course. Dennis Titchler right now is going to get the pole position for the second race of the day. When we have our top 15 inverted, we head up towards the braking zone here of turn number 5, and it is to the inside for Marshalsea, and he slams heavy on the brakes, and it collects a number of drivers in that one, as it is Fraser Garrity, the man who is worse for wear, out of that accident, and he has received a meatball flag in doing so. Look at everyone slow up in front, and there's just nowhere for Garrity to go, and he's hit from behind as well, which is a real shame for Fraser Garrity. He will find himself down pit lane. In fact, he will find himself into the wall there and out of race number 1 with frustrations. Let's move back to the race leaders here. We've not been watching the leaders in this race throughout this evening so far. Kim Borkland is holding on to the lead of this one. Will Lyon is holding on to second, but look how close they are. 0.3 of a second separate Borkland and Lyon right now. Daniel Downing half a second back in third. Then they are being chased by Adam Delmont, Jaden Scotton and Jay Cooley, but that chasing pack of Delmont, Scott and Cooley is not closing towards these leading 3 drivers. Of course, these leading 3 drivers in the Audi, Delmont in the Honda, Scotton in the Veloster before Cooley then back in the Audi again, and the Audi just proving they are really fast around here. And just to show that this race is still incredibly close, apart from our drivers that are down pit lane, once Borkland was at the end of the Road America straight, that main pit straight, Kev Aylett was coming onto it. So the whole field is along that straight at the same time as I'm looking on my track map. So it is extremely close still in this race for all sorts of positions, as this is the fight between Koom and Vandenbroek, and they are fighting out for position as Koom has fallen and Olsen Leah moves into second position in class. What happened to Koom in all of that one? Was he caught up in that accident with Fraser Garrity potentially? Because I'm trying to have a look here, and it doesn't look like anything else really has flagged up, but we're going to go 3 wide behind. Somehow we sell it down. Ben Gibbons is the man to come off worse for wear through turn number 5 there, gets it back onto the circuit and hoping to recover back into this one. But it looks like race number 1 going to be a bit of a write-off for Ben Gibbons after what was an incredibly strong start. We're halfway through, or just over halfway through race number 1 here today. 2 races coming your way, of course, but it is the leading fight that we are now watching, because Will Lyon is all over the rear end of Borkland here. He gets right onto the back end of Borkland there. Surely there is opportunity for Lyon to do something in this one, as we ride on board with Daniel Downing here in 3rd position, looking towards Lyon and towards Borkland as we head out of the final turn. And it is looking like Craig Walters has got a meatball flag. What has happened? It's a big hit into the wall through the kink for Craig Walters. Was it on his own? No! It was contact with Jack Brown. And that was for the lead of the Pro-Ams. That is not what Walters would have wanted. They were fighting out for the lead here, and that's bound to the inside. I mean, that one's going to be one for the stewards to look over, that's for sure, but they were side by side. It's difficult to run through the kink side by side, but they were side by side there. Henschel and Deshay both down pit lane together here. They have got penalties to serve as we return back to the leading fight here. Kim Borkland ahead of Lyon. Daniel Downing in 3rd position still. Are they going to remain this way to the end? Are they remaining this way until the last lap and seeing what they can do? Not wanting to lead, perhaps going on to the final lap of asking. Lyon is doing a great job of chasing over the rear end. Of course, Will Lyon still hunting down a 1st win of the season. Borkland here hunting down what would be his third class win, but only his second overall win of the season. As Iron looked to the inside there, just backed out of it, didn't want to make the move at that early stage there, and from that far back through the kink as well. We had the accident through the kink last lap, so I'm not surprised he wanted to stay out of it, as Will Lyon here comes through the bottom of turn 12 into Canada corner, and they are still pulling away from the train that is Delmont, Scotton and Cooley behind. We head up towards turn number 14 now. And right now they are staying single file, and I'm having a little bit of a look back as well, and most of the trains of drivers that we've seen are a couple of tenths per second away. And what I have noticed is that every single one of the brand new Audis out there have got their headlights fully on. All of the other cars not on, but the Audis, they have the headlights on. I don't know if that is a mistake in the update or whether they just think that they're an Audi driver and therefore they need headlights to be looking at what's in front of them. JB Deshay and has come out of pit lane here and chasing down Lucas Henschel. They were both down pit lane with penalties, of course, so they are fighting out for 5th in class, 24th position on the road, and we'll be trying to see if they can do anything with that, as Thomas Coombe looking to try and get back onto the podium, but Mail here trying to help out his teammate. Of course, Coombe needs to finish higher than Olsen Leah in the upcoming races to close that 10-point deficit. This is not where he wants to be, but it is an amateur driver of Chris London who is going to get the invert for the final race of the day. It is to the outside for Thomas Coombe, the inside for Torban Mail. Coombe is going to go later on the brakes. Mail does hold that inside, goes a bit earlier on the brakes, but Thomas Coombe moves up to 3rd position in class, 19th overall, and will now be on the hunt for Vigard Olsen Leah behind. Even if he just finishes the 1 position ahead of Olsen Leah, it will close the points between them. So that's exactly what he is going to be trying to do and hunting to do here as we head up towards the final couple of laps of this race, with only 4.5 minutes left on the board. The semi-pro drivers have not, sorry, the Pro-Am drivers have not had an evening to remember here. 5 of them all at the bottom of the order right now, and the rest of them, the other 4, mixed up in the field. It is a very good run from our pro drivers as normal at the top. Our semi-pros are doing a great job as well, and our amateur drivers are finding their way up the order and past all of those pro-ams that have been having some issues here today, as we jump back up towards the front here as we go into 4 minutes to go. Is Will Lyon going to try and take the race lead here? He goes to the outside. Kim Portland. Lyon is into the race lead. There's contact, and Will Lyon is going to go around. Portland will hold on to 2nd. Downing into 3rd. Will Lyon is back on track, and the cars behind scatter. And Will Lyon falls to 6th position in this race, leaving Portland and Downing by themselves at the front. They are fighting out for an overall race win. Portland no longer has a pro driver to contend with, and here comes Daniel Downing to the inside. He waits behind for now. Adam Delmont jumps, well, there was a swap over, sorry, between himself and Scott, and he moves back through after the issues which saw Will Lyon fall down and return back to the track in spectacular fashion. Let's have another look at that one. And Lyon, he moves to the right and then he overreacts. Like that, I can't put that on Portland, you know. He comes back on track there. Look how close Dermot got, and it was just a bit of a scattering of drivers there. I don't think I can put that on Portland, because if you look here, Lyon does move to the right initially, and then just that, it just feels like a snap of overreaction. from lying there. But of course, we can't see it from all angles. I do make comments and judgment calls in the commentary booth. Of course, they are never what the stewards are looking at, so I could make those wrong calls, and it's not something that I claim to be the best at. I just call it as I see it. But Will Lyon there is the worst for wear out of whatever that incident occurred, well, whatever caused the incident there. He fell down the order, down to 6 behind Jay Cooley here, trying to hold ahead of John Brown. He will still take some decent points here, and of course he will take some points to help him out in the championship ahead of with his fight with Espanera. But he would have been hoping for a first race win of the season. It doesn't look like it's going to go that way as the white flag is out. Jaden Scotton here is now going to look to try and take the podium in this race that has been promoted. That's been gifted, to Adam Dalmont. Dalmont's going to go defensive through 2 and up into the braking zone of turn number 3. He swings back across to the left-hand side as Scotton now trying to get the speed on the exit. He does have his teammate of Jay Cooley behind who could potentially help him out in this fight as Dalmont goes defensive to the left-hand side. Scotton's going to move to the right and go to the outside. Dalmont has to hold that inside line now because Scotton is very much on his outside. Dalmont is going to be there though. He closes the door around the outside through turn number 5. Scotton stays behind for the time being as they come up into 6. And through turn number 7 here, up towards Hurry Downs. It is JB Deshay with a penalty on the final lap. He will be given a post-race penalty with that one, as Scotton is still trying to get past Adam Dalmont here. He has one real overtaking opportunity left, of course, and that is into Canada corner. Downing is 0.3 of a second off of Falkland. I don't think he's going to risk it for an overall race victory. He will be winning in class here, and he is, of course, dominating that semi-pro championship. Onto the grass was John Brown. Up towards Canada corner. Scotton, he moved to the inside for a moment. He got back onto the racing line. Are they going to stay in this order up towards the timing line here with Dalmont on the podium? Is Scotton going to try and do something into the final turn? He stays behind into the final turn. Out of the final turn is Kim Falkland. Falkland is going to win for a second time overall, a third time in class ahead of Daniel Downing. And it's a drag race to the line, but Adam Dalmont will come across the line ahead of Scotton. Cooley in 5th out of Will Lyon. John Brown just behind there as drivers come up towards time line, seeing if they can do anything. Thomas Coombe here has made his way into 3rd. He's closed down to Olsen Leah, but I don't think he is going to be able to beat his championship contender here, his championship rival across the line. Olsen Leah will beat Thomas Coombe to the line. Chris London winning the amateur class in that one, and a drag race at the back. Ben Gibbons holds on to 22nd ahead of Torburn Mail as we've got Lucas Henschel and JB Deshay coming up towards the timing line. Henschel will take 24th, Deshay 25th. He has got that post-race penalty, of course. And then we do have Craig Walters heading around there at the very rear end of the field as well, and he'll be the last man to come across the timing line. That was race number 1 though. We have got a second race coming up in just a moment's time with our top 15 from this one reverse, which means that Chris London is going to find himself on pole position for this one. London as well, that was his first ever class victory. Great job to Chris London in that one. If we have a look at our semi-pros, it was another win for Daniel Downing. And in our pro-ams, it was a win in the end for Jack Brown after issues throughout the race that saw him falling down the order. He was able to take class victory in the end. With that being said then, it is the end of race number 1. So let's have a look at our results from the first race of the day here as we get into our little warm-up session between the two races. Kim Borkland won that one by just over 0.2 of a second from Daniel Downing. Adam Delmont holding on to an overall podium in the end ahead of Jaden Scotton. Jay Cooley took home 5th ahead of Will Lyon and John Brown. Ronald de Jong took home 8th and Jack Brown winning. That Pro-Ams took home 9th ahead of Daniel Lewis. We then had Mark Draper coming home in 11th position out of Paul Hurley. Deck Crowther in 13th and Demis Titchler 14th position. We're starting the invert from the front row of the grid. Chris London will be starting it from pole, and he won the amateur class for the first time in that Jazz Gold machine. Carl Hardy came home in 16th position ahead of Kevin Marshall. Say Vigard Olsen-Lee just beat Thomas Kuhn to the line in their championship fight in the amateurs. And Kev Aylett rounded out your top 20. Chesley Vandenbroek came home in 21st out of Ben Gibbons. Torburn Mail in 23rd. Lucas Henschel crossed the line in 24th position out of JB DeJay. Quill Walters in 26th. Out of the race was Fraser Geraghty after we saw him get that meatball, along with Stuart Gibbons as well. And Luke Woodhouse did not start the race. With that being said then, let's have a look to see if we can grab a word with any of our drivers out of that one, because it was a strong top 10 finish for a number of our competitors, but it was not a result that all of them would have been hoping for, and they would have been thinking that they could have done just a little bit more with that. And one of those drivers, of course, was Jack Brown, because Jack, he managed to start that one right towards the front of the field, but it all went a little bit wrong on the opening lap of the race. Contact and then some connection issues. It saw you falling down the field. Talk us through the start of your race and how you managed to recover up back to the lead of your class.
To be honest with you, I didn't realise I won my class. So, start of the race, I just got Will put a dive bomb down inside, had a little bit of contact, and whatever happened from that caused some connection issues, and then I started popping in and out, and just people were just phasing through me. I'm not too sure what happened, to be honest with you, mate.
It was a real shame because you are showing some really strong pace in the new TCRs, of course. How are you finding it? You're out in that new Audi, and you seem to have found the pace over the others out there. So is it a good update for you? Do you feel like you're going to be able to find your way further towards the front in the final couple of races of the season?
Definitely, I can see the Audi's strong on pace, and I think I've adapted to it pretty quick. But it's, like I say, it's early doors, so we could see some changes to the Audi to bring it back down to driving standards, I guess.
I think so, definitely. But you are showing some strong pace in that Audi particularly anyway. Of course, you're running in that Pro-Am class, yet you were managed to place it up there with the pros at the very front of qualifying. And there were some other drivers in the Audi who weren't able to make it halfway up the field. So even with it being the car, do you think that you say you got up to pace with it, but do you think that you're going to still be able to get the pace out of it even when they bring it back down to level pegging with the others?
I'm hoping so. I like to drive with the brake bias quite a bit down, and on this Civic, it obviously didn't. You can't bring it down as low as it could go, and it hasn't got as much rotation. And then I noticed that the Audi did, so I just thought that's more suitable for my driving style, so I switched over.
And you are showing some good pace. Hopefully, the whatever issues we had in race number 1 that caused you to fall down initially will not find themselves in the second one. We will have the invert, of course. You'll need to make your way towards the front of the field. Are you feeling confident, though? Because you have got that pace in this car.
I'm hoping so, to be honest with you, Joseph. I really, really hope that I do.
Right, good luck for race number 2, Jack, and hopefully we can see another strong result for you.
Thank you, Joseph.
Jack Brown there coming home in his class, leading the Pro-Ams, even with the connection issues we talked about there that happened on lap number 1. We saw the contact that led to those connection issues. It was a bit of a weird one, but it didn't mean that he was able to, he had to, fight his way back up the order. He certainly did. And as I say, he found his way back into the lead. There was a bit of argy-bargy within each of the classes, though. A number of cars going around in various instances throughout race number 1. Race number 2, though, is about to begin. It's the longer race, 25 laps of Arsking. The extra 5 minutes is going to add an extra, probably 3 laps of competition around the Road America circuit. And with that being said, the top 15 from the first race of the day are going to be switched around. So how are we going to find the grid for race number 2? Chris London is going to find his way to pole position in the amateur class, sitting ahead of your Pro-Am Championship leader, Demis Titchler. Det Crowther will start in 3rd position ahead of Paul Hurley. Mark Draper from 5th, and Daniel Lewis will be starting this one from 6th position. Jack Brown, he has a strong start for race number 2. He'll be starting in 7th, could find his way up towards the front of the field. Ronald de Jong will start this one in 8th, ahead of John Brown. Will Lyon fighting out for the win in race number 1. He went around. He starts from 10th. Jay Cooley from 11th, ahead of his teammate Jaden Scotton, who will start in 12th position. Adam Delmont came home on the podium. Will start this one in 13th, ahead of Daniel Downing. Kim Borkland will start in 15th. And missing out on the invert will be Carl Hardy. The rest of the order, as they were in race number 1, is Marshall Say, followed by Olsen, Leah, Coombe in 19th, ahead of Eilert. Then it's Vandenbroek, Gibbons, Mayle and Henschel down to runner number 12. JB DeJay will start this one in 25th, ahead of Craig Walters. Fraser Garrity will start in 27th, that is Stuart Gibbons, and if he is able to get it out onto the track for the second race of the day, it will be Luke Woodhouse from 29th. He was not able to get out in qualifying or race number 1, so we shall see if he is able to make it out for race number 2. From the man in the number 447 machine, he is still out there in the Hyundai if he is to get there out onto the race for this one. Right then, drivers are preparing themselves for the 25 minutes. We have seen a number of drivers having issues throughout race number 1. How is it going to go in race number 2 with drivers having to make their way through the field? We are green and away off the line there, and what a launch it was from 2nd position on the grid, straight into the lead. For Demis Titchler, we already have a car around in the background, and that is falling down the order. Lucas Henschel here being pushed by JB DeShay. That is also going to be Craig Walters off and around, and Adam Delmont off and around. Det Crowther, Jaden Scotton. A lot of drivers out of this one. Will Lyon is leading your pro drivers right now in race number 2 after what was a major issue. Lots of cars down pit lane on the opening lap of Arsking here. It's side by side up towards turn number 5. Ronald de Jong trying to get up the inside of Lyon. Lyon carrying the speed on the exit. Around the outside, and will hold on to 4th. Jay Cooley there getting past Daniel Downing as well. Battle for 9th and 10th position into turn number 6. As that's Carl Hardy falling behind Kev Eilert, but holding it on the exit of 6 into 7 there. And Carl Hardy will move up the position. A lot of big names out early doors in this one. We'll have to double check them all at the end of lap number 1 as we settle ourselves down. This is Mark Draper trying to carry the speed on the exit. Around the outside of Torburn Mayle there, he certainly does. And it means that Mayle drops down to 20th, Draper in 19th position. Out front though, Chris London has had a decent start in 2nd position with Demis Titchler just getting that fantastic launch off of the line. Daniel Lewis here, all over the rear of Ronald de Jong. This is the fight for P1 in your semi-pro field as they come through Canada corner and end up to the end of the lap here. And with lap number 1 done, we say goodbye to 6 drivers on the opening lap of Arsking here that have all made their way down to pit lane. Crowther, Jack Brown, Jaden Scotton, Adam Delmont, Henschel and JB DeShay, as Demis Titchler has had an issue through the final turn. Chris London in the amateur field will return back to the top of the standings here, and on our timing screen on the left there. Chris London leads the way. It was side by side between Lyon and Hurley, and Lyon moves up into third here. Lyon on the hunt for winning his first race of the season. Kev Aylett trying to get around the outside of Carl Hurley up into turn number 3, and we'll have to back down and wait on that one. Right then, I think that everybody is asking what on earth happened on the opening lap of that race, because I certainly am. That's what happened towards the background. It was a bit of a pincer manoeuvre there that saw JB Deshaies caught up in that, but we can see already issues up ahead, and it gets all closed up together. And that is a real shame, as Jack Brown got caught up with Dec Crowther initially in that one. And then Jaden Scotton slams into the wall, and Delmont collects into that one. I think that that was just unfortunate placement for a number of the cars involved in that opening lap accident. But what it does mean is we see a number of cars down and out of this one. Will we see them back out of pit lane is another question. Crowther, Brown, Scotton, Delmont, Henschel, Deshaies all out of this race as it stands. We're almost 5 minutes into this one already, and Chris London is still holding on to the lead of this one, but Will Lyon, the leading pro driver here, is looking to try and get past Demis Titchler for second position in this race, and then to try and chase up towards Chris London, who is holding on at the very front. Every time we've had an amateur driver at the front of this field, they have found themselves taken out before the end of the race. That's happened twice, and both times to Vigard Olsen Leah. Thomas Coombe here is currently got 3 cars between himself and his championship rival of Leah, which is going to really help him out in the championship standings. This is exactly what Coombe needs to go into the final round of competition. London to the right-hand side of the circuit. Demis Titchler looking to take the lead around the outside. Where is Lyon going to go? He's also going to move to the left-hand side of the circuit here. Are we going to run side by side into turn number 1? We sadly are, and it's happened again! I cannot believe it! I cannot believe it has happened again for an amateur driver. 3 times this season, an amateur driver has led a race. 3 times this season, they have been taken out of said lead in dramatic fashion. And that does mean now that Chris London is down and out of this race, as Paul Hurley goes to the inside of Ronald de Jong, who is losing positions here in his fight, and Hurley is going to try and keep that outside line. It stays side by side. De Jong to the outside here. It's almost Noah's Ark down here, 2x2 up towards turn number 8. It's the inside for Hurley, but it will switch around here for De Jong as we go into the carousel, and De Jong will hold that inside line right now. Jake Cooley is in the middle of this, the rear of this battle, and looking to see what he can do and advantages he can find out there right now, as Will Lyon running around just behind Demis Titchler. Titchler looking to try and take what would be his first overall win of the season, as that was Jake Cooley looking to try to get past Lewis, as Brown trying to keep up the inside of Portland as well, and that is going to be Cooley past Lewis. Lewis onto the gravel there, and now under attack from Daniel Downing as well, but Downing backs out of it. Kim Portland in 6th position at the moment. Demis Titchler, man at the front in the Elantra. Ronald de Jong running in 3rd in the Elantra. We've been talking about these different cars. The Elantra has been one of the biggest talked about cars outside of the brand new Audi, saying that it is very fun to drive, and right now proving to be rather quick. Will Lyon, however, saying it is quick, but the Audi is quicker. Will Lyon gets to the inside of Demis Titchler. Is he going to be able to solidify this overtake as they come up towards turn number 3? Will Lyon to the inside. He remains on the inside of Titchler. Titchler drops behind, which means Will Lyon is now leading this one and on the hunt for what could potentially be his first win of the season overall and in class. Titchler, though, looking to try and take that overall race victory back as he goes to the outside of turn number 5. Will Lyon remains up ahead right now. It is continuing to be a heavy old fight behind. That is for third. I say it's for third, but De Jong is pulling away here. With all the fighting that's going on behind, you can see the gap that De Jong's pulling over John Brown. It's about a second between them now, as that is Portland to the inside of John Brown, looking to try and get around the outside up towards 8 as Cooley's gone to the inside. That was a little bit of the nudge on the rear end of Brown there. Brown's gone onto the grass, but they have all made it through the corner. Look how close it is. This is ridiculous. It's amazing. Daniel Downing to the inside of Paul Hurley through the carousel here. He keeps it tighter. Hurley holding that outside line. Are they going to stay side by side for the kink? No. They settle it in to single file through the kink there, and they get through without incident. Of course, we saw side by side in race number 1. There was contact. Here comes Downing once again to the outside of Hurley, and he'll turn to the inside into Canada corner. Hurley had no choice but to leave that door open. Daniel Downing gets to the inside. It remains side by side, though. It's going to switch across to Hurley's line now as we head up through turn number 13. A little bit of contact there. Hurley stuck on the outside. Daniel Downing to the inside through turn number 14. And Daniel Downing is going to move into 7th position in this race up towards the timing line. It is still extremely close as Daniel Lewis pushes Hurley there over the timing line. Hurley goes to the outside of Daniel Downing now as Lewis looks to stay on the inside as Portland gets past John Brown ahead. Downing holds on to Paul Hurley. Hurley's going to come under attack from Daniel Lewis now, and Lewis is going to go for the inside line. And he does get that inside line, but Hurley carries the speed on the outside, and Hurley is going to lead ahead as we come up towards turn number 4. Is he going to be able to close the door on Daniel Lewis, or is he going to have to keep it open for the time being? We head up towards turn number 5 at the end of the Moraine sweep. It is going to be the inside for Hurley here. A little bit of gravel being kicked up from Daniel Lewis as we come through turn number 5. And it continues to have a little bit of a look as that is to the inside of Marshall Say from Kev Aylett. Aylett is going to now have to hold the outside of Marshall Say as we come to turn number 7, and they settle themselves back down into single file. Lights flashing there from Kev Aylett. Now, what I have to say into turn 5, that little bit of gravel, was that always there? I was putting some laps in at Road America the other day in the GT3s, and I was running through, and I'm almost certain that little bit of gravel on the outside of the entry to turn number 5 never existed. It was quietly added recently, but I might just be gaslighting myself. If anyone here can confirm or deny whether or not that gravel has been added, would be great, because at this moment in time I feel like I am just lying to myself. Jay Cooley, though, comes through to Canada corner. He sits behind John Brown, looking to try and get into the top 5. He is running a podium in class right now, and Cooley, who doesn't get down onto the track very often, is showing some great speed. And Paul Hurley has major issues with his car. Smoke is piling out of that one, and we are going to see Paul Hurley out of this race. What has happened to him? Contact! Major contact from Daniel Lewis, and Paul Hurley finds himself slamming into the barrier with race-ending damage as we come up towards turn number 1. Right, with that being said then, with how many cars are into walls and out, we've only got 19 cars left racing in this one. This has been the biggest DNF race we have seen all season long. Mostly we see 4 or 5 cars going out at max. We can count now 9 cars that are potentially out of this race. 8 cars are definitely out. If Paul Hurley does not return to track, it will be 9. As Fraser Geraghty looked for a moment to try and get past Craig Walters. but the two teammates there trying not to fight too hard with each other. Means that Walters holds on to 11th right now, and Geraghty in 12th position. Olsen Leah finds himself running a little bit slow there, along with Mark Draper. I think there's been some issue between the two drivers. Oh, it was contact with Ben Gibbons. Gibbons has been sent around initially in that one. Contact there with Olsen Leah. As he's trying to recover it, he goes into Mark Draper. Ben Gibbons' day just goes from bad to worse. But that being said, he is currently second in class. He's 3 seconds off of class leader Thomas Coombe, but Gibbons is holding on to second place in that class right now, which is why Olsen Leah was so eager to try and make that overtake. Of course, he's trying to limit the points gain that Thomas Coombe gets in this second race of the day as we prepare ourselves for the championship standing update. Of course, today is the last drop points day of the season, and then next week, no matter what your results, whether they're great or they're terrible, we will not see it dropped, which means that they are going to have to do the best that they possibly can at what is going to be one of the hardest circuits to overtake this season. As our final round heads to Hungaroring. It was postponed, of course. What was originally supposed to be the 5th round of competition, postponed due to a family funeral here in the Joseph Wright Broadcasting booth. But it has been postponed to the end of the season, and it does mean it's going to be a tricky one to end on. But drivers, I'm sure, will be looking to try and take championships, and Thomas Coombe and Olsen Leah are the two drivers that are the closest in any of the championships right now, and I think it is going to be the only championship that truly comes down to the wire as Kev Aylett goes to the inside of Marshall Say is then deep and is allowed Craig Walters into the inside. Walters is going to try to get to the inside here. There's a fight going on up ahead as well, a little bit of a nudge, but Marshall Say is going to have to remain behind. Here is Daniel Downing. He's trying to hold the the inside of John Brown there, and Daniel Downing makes his way through into 6th position, but Jay Cooley previously overtook John Brown, and this is how that occurred. Brown went slightly wide at turn number 5. Jay Cooley went to the inside of 6. And Brown running slightly wide there. Cooley had to confirm it on the outside of 7, but that is where Daniel Downing decided to get himself involved in that one, and he went to the inside. And this is where we got on live. And of course, Daniel Downing confirming that overtake as we watched it live. Fraser Geraghty looked for a moment to try to get past Kevin Marshall, safe for a podium in class. It would be 11th overall. He has to hold on to 12th for the time being as Mark Draper finds his way past Chesney Vandenbroek as the semi-pro overtaking the Am, but the Am says, okay, but I'm still going to fight you out for this 17th position in the race. He tries to have a go through Thunder Valley, but has to back out as they go into the Bill Mitchell bend. Up to turn number 14 there, a bit of a slide from Mark Draper, but he does hold on to 17th position in this race. Kim Borkland here looking to try and move his way onto the podium and try to get as many points on the board with Adam Dalmont down and out of this second race of the day as we come up towards turn number 3. Borkland looking to get back onto the podium. Of course, he was only able to convert he's only been able to convert one of his pole positions into a race victory so far this season. He took the double. He, of course, did it again today. But it doesn't look like it is going to go the double for him. Will Lyon is 2.5 seconds clear ahead of Demis Titchler. Borkland, though, is going to look to try and find his way past Ronald de Jong in this fight for 3rd position. Right now, the top 3 all running a different class. We saw this at, was it Catalonia or was it Brands Hatch, where we saw the top 3 were all race winners in their own individual classes. Is Borkland going to deny the opportunity of that happening again as we've got 7.5 minutes left on the board here? We come up towards the end of the initial 20 minutes that we had in race number 1. Those additional 5 for the inverted grid Falkland is going to take advantage of those to try and get past De Jong and see if he can speed up and catch up to Demis Tichler, who is running very strongly in the Pro-Ams, with second in the Pro-Ams, currently sitting 10th with Craig Walters. Thomas Coombe holding on to the lead of the AMs right now, 2.5 seconds clear. Ben Gibbons, here comes Falkland. He gets to the outside through the kettle bottoms and up towards Canada corner for turn number 12. And that is a move through for Falkland, and Ronald de Jong says, I'm going to fight you a little bit, but not that much, because at the end of the day, I'm still leading the semi-pro field. I can see them closing up behind. I'm not going to fight you too hard. Daniel Downing there gets past Jay Cooley and moves up into second in class, 5th position overall. And Fraser Garrity still trying to get past Kevin Marshall, as that is Hardy. And your AM leader, Thomas Coombe, just behind as well. As we come through the final turn, we can officially confirm that the bottom 8 drivers in this race are out. The top 20 are still racing in it, including Paul Hurley, who has had to come down pit lane for damages. Carl Hardy here looking to try and get to the outside of Kevin Marshall, as we head up towards... Carl Hardy trying to get to the outside of Garrity as we head up towards turn number 1. Garrity there getting it back onto the racing line though, and there was just no way there was any overlap in that one. We can see the intervals on the left. There's a couple of intervals that are about 0.2 per second, but most of them have opened up as we enter the last 6 minutes of competition here. I'm expecting about 3 more laps at the end of this one. Garrity getting the toe here from Kevin Marshall, closing up the 2 Hondas. Got a couple of Hondas chasing down behind that entire gaggle of Hondas, and we've got to the inside. Fraser Garrity, Marshall looking to try and have the speed on the exit, but Fraser Garrity moves up into 11th position in this race, 3rd in class for him. And Kevin Marshall has to settle down in 12th position. He doesn't want to settle though, as he looked for a moment to get back up the inside of Garrity. He's going to have to sit behind in this group of Hondas that is running around from 10th to 13th position. 10th to 14th, 11th to 14th position, I should say. It's been a long evening as we come through the carousel here, turn number 9 and turn number 10, and up towards the kink. Our drivers are once again just going to stay in single file line for the time being, with less than 5 minutes on the clock in the second and final race of the day. We have only got 1 more round remaining in this championship next week. So make sure, if you haven't already done so, if you're watching over on the SRL TV YouTube channel and you're watching live, hit that subscribe button. You'll be notified when we go live, and you won't miss any of the races, including the final round of this season, but also the pre-season events heading up towards season number 11. And then, of course, season number 11 itself. If you're watching over on the Joseph Wright Broadcasting's Twitch page, Joseph Wright TV, then make sure you hit the follow button over here so you don't miss any of our broadcasts of, once again, the SRL TCR League, but any of the other broadcasts we do as well, as this is the first of our 6 broadcasts for our super weekend here on Joseph Wright Broadcasting. So make sure you are hitting that follow button so you can catch all of the racing that is going on this weekend. 11 races coming your way, with 2 about to be completed. Right, we head up towards turn number 5 of the Moraine Sweep in this battle. That is for 4th position overall, but it is a fight with Ronald de Jong, the leading driver in your semi-pros, being chased by Daniel Downing. Daniel Downing right now is on the hunt for what would be his 8th class victory of the season in 18 races. He could go, if he wins this one and he goes for the double next week, he could win half of the races this season, which would be an absolutely incredible statistic. In fact, he would be the only driver now possible to do that. Adam Delmont would have been close if he was able to win here today. He could have done it if he took the double next week. But he does sit on 7 class victories. Only 5 overall victories, of course, because our overall victories have gone the way of 2 semi-pro drivers in Stephen Fry and Deck Crowther, and a Pro-Am driver of Stuart Gibbons as well. It has been a mixture for our drivers out there, as that was a bit of lawn mowing services from Ronald de Jong. That's invited Daniel Downing all over the rear end here. De Jong goes defensive. Downing goes to the outside, trying to carry the speed on the outside of Canada corner. He's forced onto the gravel there. He's going to have to stop back in, but he does keep Jay Cooley behind. This is your podium of your semi-pro field. It's the battle for 4th overall. We come up towards the timing line. We're going to get 2 more laps on the board. No, we're not. We're going to get 1 more lap on the board. My timing screen tells me we're going to get 2, but with Will Lyon there crossing the line, I think this is going to be the white flag lap here. As we head up towards turn number 1, Downing all over the rear of De Jong, up towards turn number 1. As our semi-pros fight it out here. Borkland trying to close up towards Demis Titchler, trying to get the most points on the board for his championship resurgence attempt against Adam Delmont. It is a large deficit to try and pull back, but with Delmont out once again, it will be a drop week that will be reinstated for Delmont. Borkland will be trying to get any and every points that he possibly can. Jaden Scotton has just moved his way up into 21st position. He is 7 laps off of the next car. He is 8 laps down, but Jaden Scotton is out there once again. He is running very, very far down in this one. But he has decided to get out there and get some more laps into his car, of course, as we prepare for the final race of the season next week at Hungaroring. This continues to be the fight here with 50 seconds on the board. I am very convinced that this is our white flag lap of competition. I don't think we're going to get another one in, which does mean that Will Lyon is about to take his first ever win of the season in both class and overall. Daniel Downing all over the rear of Ronald De Jong here. Is he going to be able to do anything up towards Canada corner? De Jong will be thinking about running defensive. He's already to the right, to the outside. Goes Downing. He tried this last lap. It didn't work out. He's going to back out a little bit earlier, trying to get the speed on the exit this time as we switch across up towards turn number 13 here. As Will Lyon comes out of the final corner. With 5 seconds on the board, the checkered flag will fly. And for the first time this season, Will Lyon will win a race. And he will win race number 2. Absolutely fantastic. It's a fight to the line behind, but it will come out to Ronald De Jong ahead of Daniel Downing. Jay Cooley takes home 3rd. Demis Titchler took the win in his class. And then crucially for the championship in the amateur class, Thomas Coombe comes home a winner, but 13th in the race, with his rival Vigard Olsen Leah down in 17th position. It is crucial for Thomas Coombe getting that result there. Ronald De Jong takes a great win in the semi-pro field as well, and for De Jong it was his first win as well. Demis Titchler takes home a very strong win in the Pro-Am field, 4th one of the season, and for Thomas Coombe it was a 5th class victory for him in the amateur class as well, but 2 new winners under that of Lyon and De Jong. With that being said then, let's have a look at our race results from the second and final race of the day. Will Lyon came home to win that one ahead of Demis Titchler in 2nd position, winning the Pro-Ams. Kim Borkland took home 3rd. Ronald De Jong came home in 4th position ahead of Daniel Downing and Jay Cooley. That's your podium in your semi-pros. John Brown taking home 7th ahead of Daniel Lewis. Craig Walters took home 2nd in class ahead of Kev Aylett, rounding out your top 10. Fraser Garrity took the final podium place in the Pro-Ams ahead of Kevin Marshall-Say, and Thomas Coombe coming home 13th overall. He came home a winner in your amateur class. Carl Hardy came home in 14th. Ben Gibbons took home 2nd in class, 15th overall ahead of Mark Draper. And Vigard Olsen Leah took home the final podium place in the amateur field. Chesley Vandenbroek came home 18th overall ahead of Torburn Mail. Paul Hurley rounded out your top 20. And in the end, Stuart Gibbons out of the race, 7 laps down with Chris London. Jaden Scotton coming across the line, 8 laps down. And then out of the race also with Deck Crowther, Jack Brown, Lucas, Henschel, Adam, Delmont, and JB DJ. It was a disappointing way to start race number 2. We had a number of cars off and out before turn number 1 with some major incidents occurring on that one. But with that being said, it has been a bit of a mixed bag for most of our drivers out there. It's been a strong one for others. With that being said, then, we will have a little bit of a word with a few drivers. And I think the first driver that we will pull across into the commentary booth here will be the man who found himself on the front of the grid for the second race of the day. But what seems to be the fashion, Chris, is the amateur driver once again has been taken out from the lead of the race. Talk us through your second race, because it looked like it was going well until it all went wrong.
I don't know why we're going trying to go 3 wide into turn 2, right? I was holding my line against Dennis. We were going 2 wide through turn 1, which is already a bit sketchy, right? And then we're not respecting that as a pro driver. He should know better. I don't get it, you know? And so my race was over because it is what it is, you know? Like, me and Dennis were having a good battle, and that was great. These cars are great. They're great fun. He drives so well, but do you know what to say?
How were you finding it in the end on that one? Because the cars have been updated. You were running around in the new Audi, of course, and you showed to have some good pace. You found yourself inside the top 15, ready to do the invert, and you did have a great race number 1, of course. We think about the issues that race number 2 happened, but you did take your first class win in race number 1. So how are you finding the update and this new Audi?
So the new Audi's great. It drives a lot more around the brakes. It's a lot. I've found it responds really well to soft inputs, whether it's the steering wheel or the brake pedal. It drives really, really nicely. You do have to be a bit more on the thing. You can't just brake in, rotate the car, and slam it out, right? Like, it's a lot more finesse. But so they've done a really, really good job. And also, like, the car also punishes you for not driving it correctly. Like, the front tires will overheat, the rear tires. If you push too hard on lap 2, the rear tires will go. Like, it's a good update. The cars are great. They really allow for some really, really distinct driving styles in racing. So overall, I'm a really big fan of this. Right, I think once more people start figuring out these cars, I think I'll probably drop back down the grid. I just am ahead of the curve on this one.
How are you feeling for next week then? We head to Hungaroring for the final round of the season. It's a very different racetrack to Road America, where we had a lot of speed here. Of course, it's a lot more corners next week. Are you feeling confident about that one, or is it one where you just got to wait and see what happens?
We're going to wait and see. In theory, it might be a better track for me because I do tend to do better on tracks where there's a lot more mid-speed corners, where it's a lot more about just like balancing the car. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Right, we have to say a big congratulations on race number 1. It was a race victory for you in class course. It is a bit overshadowed from race number 2, but do look back at race number 1 because it was a great result and some great points on the board.
All right. Thank you, man.
Chris London there, winning in the first race of the day in the amateur class. He came home in the end 22nd, 8 laps down after that contact that sent him out of the race. It was, more importantly, for Thomas Coombe, it was a very important second race of the day because for Thomas, he came home behind championship rival Vigard Olsen-Lear in race number 1. But in race number 2, Thomas, you were fighting it towards the front. You took class victory and you had 3 cars between yourself and your championship rival. Talk us through that one because it is going to really help you out going into next week's final round.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it interesting. Race 1, I completely messed up the start with the new clutch starting. I barely moved off the line, so that wasn't ideal, but I kind of got a bit mugged in that race. But yeah, race 2 was really solid. I got a good start this time. avoided that big crash on the pit straight, and just kind of tried to keep my nose clean. Avoid there was a lot of chaos in front, so I was just trying to keep out of that. I saw Olsen Lee was behind, so I didn't want to do anything stupid to let him past. And then on the last lap, I saw that sort of Draper got him, and I managed to pull a move on Hardy, which obviously put 2 extra cars between us, which will definitely help going into that last race.
It certainly will. With that being said, of course, I think it's going to be probably looking at about 5 points between the two of you going into the final round, which means if my maths are correct, you're going to be the only open championship fight in any of the classes going into next week. So all eyes will be on you and Vigard Olsen Leah, but it's been a close championship between the two of you. You found yourself falling down the championship order. You found yourself pulling back up. The drop week certainly helping you out. So how are you feeling ahead of Hungaroring? It's a very different beast to today's Road America.
Yeah, it's not my favorite track, so I'm hoping that I should, if I get enough time to do some practice, hopefully I'll be on pace. Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. I was close to being in this situation last season, but I missed the last couple of races, so I didn't get the chance to sort of do it. So to do it this season would be really good. And I mean, if it is 5 points going into the final round, I know that if I can get class pole, then all I have to do is finish in front of Vigard. So that's going to be hopefully the plan, and hopefully next week I'll come out of it with the AM Championship.
Well, good luck next week. I'm sure we'll be talking to you at the end of next week, and hopefully once we always stay on a little bit longer, we will stay live with our broadcast until the championship standings. We might be able to have a word with you if you are at the top of that amateur standings and our championship. So good luck for next week, Thomas Coombe, who came home as our race winner in race number 2.
Thank you.
And that has been an amazing evening of racing with one more left to go, of course, and that will be around the wonderful Hungaroring in a week's time. It has been a very good championship fight, and as we were saying there, next week's broadcast will go on a little bit longer than normal because we will be sticking around live and waiting for the championship standings to be officially confirmed, at which point we will then have a look at all of our championship results. Our crucial one is that amateur standings. Now, Thomas Coombe did say there that if we took class pole next week, like I said, I think in my maths in my head, I think there's only going to be 5 points between them, which if the case, you get 5 points for pole position per class, I believe. So what that does mean is that Coombe would only need to finish ahead of Vigard Olsen Leah in the final race of the day. It's going to be interesting to see how it occurs, though, and how it goes on around the wonderful Hungaroring. We've got one more round left in this championship as we head out. And as I mentioned earlier, I am so glad to be saying that Joseph White Broadcasting is going to be back for season number 11 of competition here in the SRL TCR League for season number 11. It's going to be a brilliant calendar. I've seen some of the what we are going to be racing. It is going to be great with the upcoming tracks, and of course we are going to be heading out every single week as usual with no breaks. We're going to be going straight out for our pre-seasons at the end of the season of competition. So if you are watching over on SRL TV over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you're notified when we go live over there. And if you are watching on the Joseph Wright Broadcasting Twitch page, which is Joseph Wright TV, then make sure you hit that follow button so that you're notified when we go live, as this is the second Super Weekend of the year. We've got another one back to back. We've got another Super Weekend next week as well. So definitely make sure you're following over here on Joseph Wright Broadcasting. But until next week then, I hope you guys are going to have a great amount of fun out there in the brand new TCR machines, because I can't wait to get down on track myself in the TCRs and give them a go and see what they're like, because they are the one of the car classes that I drive fairly frequently. So I am looking forward to heading out and seeing what they are all about. But we will be back here on Joseph Wright TV tomorrow. We've got a double broadcast tomorrow over here, and then we've got a triple broadcast on Sundays. Make sure that you are checking us out. But on SRL TV, we'll be back live next Friday. Thank you so much for watching here, and we will see you in a week's time for the finale around the wonderful Hungaroring. Until then, goodbye.